Welcome to Scary Movies on Saturday with Kyle. This is my new show. I'm going to be talking about little films that I think we should be talking about for just a few minutes to give you my insight on them. And the first episode today is we're talking about Visiting Hours from 1982. This was directed by Jean-Claude Lord, a director that you may not know, but who is kind of notable for doing these genre-esque films where he dived into deeper political issues. And as we can see with this film, it's a film that's maybe more prescient today. It follows feminist journalist Deborah Ballin, who angers a deranged anti-woman serial killer who tracks her down to her home to kill her, but she survives, so she sets a plan in motion to take her out and follows her to the hospital. And it's a question of, can the nurse Sheila keep her alive?
Did you watch this in a hospital?
I did watch this partially in a hospital.
All right.
For my second viewing of the film, of course. My hospital does not have William Shatner in it, unfortunately, who appears in this film.
Well, don't you show the copy?
Let me show you my copy here on the Blu-ray that I have from Scream Factory. It's actually the best version you can get of this film. Great poster. I love the poster of the skull in the background.
The pixelated,
very much, following up on the Halloween 2 of it all. But what I find so fascinating about this film is that it was very much ahead of its time, and especially for 1982, we had inundated serial killer movies. And I mean, heck, a year earlier, we had Halloween 2 set in a hospital. So it's like we already had our hospital serial killer film. What makes this one separate and kind of different, apart from William Shatner, is the fact that we're getting ourselves into an idea of female empowerment. And I think we're really getting at the idea of what slasher films were in the 80s, was they were a female empowerment tool.
Yeah, I think people forget William Shatner's career was kind of, he did Airplane 2 for God's sake.
And he actually tried to get the serial killer role in the film, and they said, well, you can have it. We have one more person who's going to audition for it, and if he doesn't do well, you can have it. That other person was Michael Ironside, who you'll know. I mean, he's still working today. Michael Ironside's been a villain in Scanners, and he's been a supporting character in Terminator films, and heck, he was a bad guy in a Karate Kid movie. So Michael Ironside is consistently, been rocking and rolling the entire way through. I really like his anti-woman, like I like the character because he's just such this like flawed, you understand him but you still don't like or condone his actions in the film.
Misogynistic.
Yeah, and we're full of that right now in our current landscape of like every time women try to get an inch on any rights, it just seems like all of these anti-women people come up and push them back in their corner. And I think that's what Jean-Claude Lord does so well with this film. His biggest problem with the film is that he lets it run on for a little bit too long. This movie was written by Brian Taggart, who actually wrote Poltergeist 3, The New Kids. He's written a number of films that you can tell he's overwriting and he needs an editor to kind of bring him back down to scale. The film runs about an hour and 45 minutes. It doesn't necessarily need that. There's enough going on in the film that we could get a concise 88-minute runtime and really cruise through it, but it meanders with these subplots. So the film's winning when it's focused on Deborah, when it's focused on Nurse Sheila, and when it's focused on our killer. William Shatner's one of those guys that he just adds a little bit of pop every time he's on screen, but I like that he's also kind of a support system for Deborah, while also not really giving her the support to go further. He's kind of trying to protect her, and in protecting her, he's pulling her back.
Yeah, it's almost like, isn't he a supporting role in this movie?
Yeah, definitely on the poster, first name there, as you would, but not really a main focus of the film. What's funny about his character in this film is that just a year earlier, there was a William Shatner killing people in Halloween 2, because if you don't know, the Halloween mask was based on William Shatner's mask from Star Trek.
Oh my God, yeah!
So it's a really interesting connection to that film. We also get Linda Pearl in this film. If you don't know Linda Pearl, she was, I think, on Matlock for a number of years, but she most recently, for Office fans, played Pam's mother, the one who starts dating Steve Carell's character on the show. Linda Pearl did not have a gigantic career, but I think she's pretty enigmatic in this film. And again, a character that pushes boundaries, which is what we really want to see in these kinds of films.
All right. Visiting Hours, I don't think will be a top 5 greatest horror movies of 1982, but it's definitely a staple that needs to be.
Yeah, it's definitely, what I consider is it's a footnote of importance. When you talk about films of 1982, and especially horror films of 82, and especially slasher films of 82, there are way too many of them, and there are quite a number of them that are better than Visiting Hours. What I like about Visiting Hours is that it tries to push the narrative. It tries to do something unique with it, and it's not wholly successful. But I think if you're a fan of slasher films from that time period, if you're a big horror fan, this is one to search out and at least check out the first time. It's got a cult following, and I think there's a lot of people out there that see its strengths through the faults. And I think there's something to be said here. And it's, again, a hospital set slasher film. A hospital is a place we're supposed to feel safe, and we don't here. And I like that about the film.
I think one of the things that worked against it is because the title doesn't really show any gratuitous violence on there. We were saturated with covers of gratuitous violence, and you just have a skull on there. And I think that kind of pulled people away a little bit.
Which is crazy, because it's what brought me into it. I saw this poster over and over again for years, and then finally when I was able to get a copy, I said, I got to check this movie out because of that sweet-ass poster. So that poster worked for me. Maybe it didn't for you. Let us know down in the comments section what your thoughts are on Visiting Hours. Do you think it's a worthy note to have in the 80s slasher landscape, or do you think it should be forgotten because it just doesn't succeed where it wants to and where it should? Let me know down in the comments section below, and give me that thumbs up or thumbs down on that poster, because baby, I'm all thumbs up for it. Thank you guys for joining us for Scary Movies with Kyle on Saturdays. Next week we're going to be covering a sequel to a film that we talked about. We're going to be covering Don't Breathe 2, so join us for that.